Cool. So, hi, my name is Shachaf. This is Oded, and we want to talk to you about a dream that we had, and it's now coming true, and it's called Outsight. The tag name is Imagining the Future of Work, and this is basically says everything. So I want to tell you a bit about that. So we've heard a lot about the future of work in this conference. Now I see why people are struggling with. So we're talking a lot about the future of work, and I think that everyone has a different idea or a different definition of what the future of work means. But the more we've studied it and the more we've tried to figure out what that means, we understood that it's complexity at its best. So it's a huge change, right? So on the one hand, you have earth-shattering technologies, and automation and AI is like the first, let's say, trend or shift that it's very clear and everyone's talking about, but if you think about it, it's much more wider than that. So for example, we have new technologies now in medicine, creating longevity, saying, futurists say that today's children will probably live, our children will live until the age of 100, and kids that are getting born today will actually live until the age of 150. So what does that mean on managing our careers, managing our self-development, managing our work, managing our lives? We talk about the demographic changes, Gen Y, Gen Z, Alpha, like the basic definition of how do I manage my career, how do I manage my self-development change. We talk about global economics shifting, global trends like digital nomads, people that are actually working and developing themselves from anywhere around the world. They're not just coming to the office to work, they're doing it from everywhere across the world. Or gig economy, which is changing the way I'm living and managing my career. And institutional changes. So we're seeing a lot of people from the academy, and I've been talking to more and more researchers and professors coming from the academy, trying to convince me that the academy is dying and it will soon be dead. So what will happen next? Education and learning are changing. So basically what we're seeing is that the most basic concept that we have about learning, self-development, living are changing, right? The more basic concepts. So when we looked at this challenge, we asked ourselves, how can we help that? How can we tackle that? So we don't have an answer yet. We don't have an answer, but I really connect to the saying by Uri Levine that you really need to fall in love with the problem, not the solution. So we looked at this problem and we really fell in love with it. And we don't know how to answer it, but we did ask ourselves, what if we can put in one room enough people, enough passionate, experienced, social entrepreneurs, and provide them with the right platform to tackle this challenge, right? It will not come from us. It will not come from a steering committee or any kind of think tank that we will be part of, but what if we can enable a large group of much more smarter, intelligent people than us to try and tackle this challenge? And this is how Outsight was born.
Now me. So we haven't rehearsed it. So, as Shachaf said, we have a question that we are in love with. And the question is in front of you: how can we advance the integration of 15 to 25-year-olds in the dynamic and changing job market of tomorrow? Okay, sounds pretty basic, but as Shachaf presented, the world is changing, all our thinking is changing, everything is changing around us, and the world in 10 years is going to look very different. Innovation sometimes is a process that looks like that. But to us, our journey feels more like a rocket ship. People ask me, how do you describe Outsight, which we'll talk about in a minute. And I say, for me or for us, it's a journey to Mars. Okay, it's unknown. We haven't done it yet. We know it's a long process. It's a long journey, and it requires a lot of people and infrastructure to join. But it feels to us like a journey to Mars. There's a lot we know already, but more, I think, that we don't know yet. So I'll talk a little bit about what we know, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we still don't know. So we'll talk about the Outsight Program. We'll talk about what is our desired impact and what are our leading principles. So what is the Outsight Program? Okay. So we gathered, the Israel America Chamber of Commerce, which I'm the CEO of, has about 250 companies here in Israel, both American and Israeli. We make up about 1/3 of the economy. So mostly the very large corporations, but not only. We also have a lot of smaller companies. And we approach some of the largest ones, some of them you can see here, and ask them if they would want to be part of this project. And we got an immense response. Everybody was very interested. So we picked about 10 companies, the 10 of the biggest companies, which are here. And you can see about half are Israeli and half are American. And each one selected about between 5 and 15 of their employees. We try to give them some guidelines how to select them, but basically they're the most innovative, the most creative employees that they could find. For example, Israeli aircraft industries advertised to all their 15,000 employees, and about 300 applied, and of them they selected 15. Amdocs did the same, 5,000 employees here in Israel. 250 applied, and they selected 15. So we have about 80 employees that were selected for this process from all these 10 companies, and we divided them. I'll talk about the board of directors in a minute. So, okay. So we divided them into 10 teams of mixed employees from different companies, okay? So we have now 10 teams like that. They're all made from people from different companies. Each one has a mentor. The chamber is basically just a platform, but we have a professional team that Shachaf is leading, and we have strategic partners, quite a lot, I'll show you in a minute, and we have content expert. And this is the structure of the program. It's all led by our board of directors, which basically are the CEOs of those large companies. So the CEO of Intel, the CEO of Amdocs, the CEO of Microsoft is the CFO, but you got the point. And I turn it back to you, Shachaf.
So we have this amazing group of people, 80 people. Can I have the clicker, please? Thank you. 80 group of people that are really passionate. They have a background in entrepreneurship. What do we do with them? Right? So we've structured a process, kind of acceleration process or an incubation process. And it has the basic steps of any incubation process, more or less. It starts with discovery, where we try to figure out what the problem is, ideate on solutions, validate the solutions, and eventually pitch for a committee of people that would take these ideas further. So up until now, we are in the discovery phase. This is next session would be like in 2 weeks from now. What we've been doing so far. So far, our main task is to explore the problem space and choose the problem to solve. So if I tell you need to solve the future of work, it's like solving poverty, right? It's so huge, it's so complex. One of the things that we try to facilitate the teams is figure out the greater context of the problem and try to tackle the weakest point in the link. So they've interviewed people, they've interviewed experts, we brought experts to talk with them, and eventually we help them figure out what point exactly do they want to tackle in this huge title called Future of Work. So we formulated the teams, we created diverse teams, and And then we started creating this network of resources, network of very intelligent people that know these problems much more than we do, but they don't have the same angle, the same point of view that we can provide with these 80 entrepreneurs. So we have government officials, and we have NGOs, and we have startup companies, and we have people from the academy that research and learn about this subject. They've been researching it for years. And basically we try to bring into the room as many intelligent people that have a unique point of view on the challenge, trying to help us grasp the complexity. Huge network. And then what we did is we deep dive into the research. So one of the part of the research was desktop research, but then we kind of walked and talked to experts, and then we leveraged the best practices of design thinking, helping them actually interview their customer segment, their user segment. So some teams actually interviewed students from studying the academy, others interviewed high school students, trying to figure out what is their true passion, what is their true challenge, in order to figure out how can we help them develop the skills and capabilities to flourish in this future of work. So this is what we've been doing so far, right, the discovery phase. Ideation is actually coming in on this June, middle 2 weeks from now. What we'll do then is we'll start by figuring out what the problem, how to solve the problem. Now notice, basically half of the program is figuring out what the challenge is, okay? We will come into the room with students and high school students and help them solve this challenge together. Then they will validate the ideas based on lean startup methodologies and best practices that we have in corporate organizations. We'll help them prepare for the pitch, and later on they will present their ideas in front of a committee comprised of CEOs, government officials, NGO representatives, social VC funds, basically giving them all the infrastructure that we can think of in order to help them implement their idea. So this is how the program knows. Now we have no idea how the solution will look like. This is the major challenge, right? We don't know if it will be a program, an app, or whatever, but we do know what the impact that we're trying to create, right? So the impact is we want to make sure that we're focusing on challenges of 3 or 5 years from now, because we know that 10 years from now, no one really knows what will happen. Second thing we know is that we want to impact at least 50% of the chosen target segment. You choose whatever target segment you want to impact, but make sure that you impact at least 50 of them. We're not looking for incremental change. We're looking for disruption. And last but not least, because we're coming from the business sector, we want to make sure that it can be implemented by all our partners. It's not a theoretical exercise, and we want to make sure that we have at least a 10x ROI. It's not that we want to make money out of it, it will be a social ROI, but we want to make sure that if we manage to invest X, we want 10x of impact. You decide how you want to measure that impact. Basically, when you need to create a business case. The evaluation criteria, we need to make sure that the idea will be holistic. It answers a real need. It answers all the different aspects of the problem. It should be feasible, at least in a year long. We don't want to create solutions based on AI that will be implemented 3 years from now. We are creating a sense of urgency in this process. ROI, clear ROI on the investment. And last but not least, it needs to be different from what is going on so far. We don't want to make more of the same. We want to create disruption in the solutions that we're seeing out there. And last but not least, the leading principles. So this is a competition kind of program. So everyone are working together, sharing insights and information and resources. It's a large-scale exploration. It's not one team figuring out. We have 10 teams working simultaneously, having different angles on the problem. Do I have 1 minute? 20 minutes have left already? Okay, I guess I'm really enjoying myself. And last, and teamwork, right? Okay. what we still don't know. Do we want to take it further? Okay. So we have no idea what kind of solution we are expecting. So we're finding ourselves mixing and matching and developing our network to help support the teams, knowing that we have no idea where they are going for. We don't know what our network should look like. So we are collecting and curating all through the process, different experts and different content experts, figuring out how can we make these ideas happen.
They're coming out of the woods. People are hearing about this project, and a lot of organizations and people and experts are joining it now to try and help.
So we don't know who will be the relevant sharks. Again, we still don't know what ideas we will develop, and we don't know what we still don't know. So we're still figuring out this process, and it's always changing. We're adding content, we're adding sessions, we're increasing the teams, and it's like a dynamic, growing process. I wanted to give you time for questions, but again, I'm being agile. So thank you very much. Yeah, well, do you have one question? We have time for one question? Shira, please, one question. Yeah.
How does this relate to some things like gap year programs? Something like that, maybe?
What is gap year program?
Well, they're like single year programs that include experience in industry and different facets of life and things like that.
I think that the gap year program is kind of a solution for the future of work. We're trying to figure out new solutions. So we're saying this is too complex of a problem to solve alone. What if we can create a group of really intelligent entrepreneurs and give them all the support of the business sector, of the private sector, of NGOs, to help them figure out how to solve the idea and help them implement it. So we're not coming in with solutions yet. It's basically a platform that enables us to solve a really, really complex problem that we know is at best naive to try and tackle together, but we really believe in structured naivety. Thank you, guys.